Hi everybody, this is Diana aka Pop Culture Diva 42, and this is my first versus match with a twist. And the reason why I'm doing these kinds of videos is because the originator of this particular brand of videos, Ziploc Gory, gave up on the series because he wants to try and make YouTube partner. And I figured, no, it's a shame because I always like these kinds of videos, even when I didn't really know the characters or situations involved. So I asked him very nicely, could I possibly pick up this series on my channel? And Ziploc Gory, being the sweetheart that he is, said that it's okay. So let's all wish Ziploc Gory good luck in his attempts to become YouTube partner, and let's get on with my first versus match, which I wanted to have a Star Trek theme because today is the 45th anniversary of the first broadcast of a Star Trek episode. So in honor of that, I wanted to do a versus match with a twist on who is the more evolved artificial being in the Star Trek universe. And in this match, it's going to be Data from The Next Generation versus the Doctor from Star Trek Voyager. So the question is, which one of these characters is more evolved? Which one of them most resembles the Star Trek idea of humanity? So which one has a more developed human nature, so to speak? I want to keep it very short and sweet and just focus on 4 major factors that I think are relevant for this discussion. First of all is the Data's and the Doctor's origin story, or the way that they started. And I think this is relevant because, Data was created as the first artificial being, and right at the beginning he had all the potential to become a sentient individual, whereas the Doctor, he started as a holographic medical program, and he had all the limitations of a program on a starship in the Federation. And if at the moment of their inception you would have placed Data next to the Doctor's holographic form, Data obviously would have been the more evolved individual because he had far more, his positronic brain is far more developed technologically speaking than the Doctor's holographic matrix, or whatever the basis of his technological identity is. So after that, after just the simple idea of they started out from very different positions, one could even say that the Doctor's rise to sentience, which is kind of the second factor, his approach, his development into a sentient being, one could argue that was just something circumstantial. It was just it had to do with luck, it had to do with circumstances. It's just the simple fact that he had to be turned on a lot because there was no other Doctor on the Voyager. And the Data, also in terms of what the aspirations of these characters were, Data always wanted to be human. For Data to be human was the most awesome thing in the universe. That was his dream, that was his major objective. And for the Doctor, in the beginning his aspirations were very limited. He just wanted the ability to turn his own damn program off when people were left his medical bay, and then when he got his mobile emitter, which permitted the Doctor to get out of either the holodeck or the medical bay, again, it was something circumstantial. It was something that simply happened. He lucked out on having people coming from the future and bringing him the mobile emitter. So again, with the Doctor, he did get the chance to become a more developed individual, but it was based on chance. Of course, one could say that life in general, that's how life developed in the first place. It was completely by accident, unless you're like super religious or something. But yeah, whereas for Data, it was a constant struggle to become more human, to have more experiences. The Doctor, something happened, something clicked in his holographic matrix, and at some point he just stopped being interested in only being the Doctor, and he wanted to become more. And even then, he didn't necessarily want to become only human. Whereas for Data, you know, even after he got his emotion chip, when he was during the events of First Contact, Data was still so obsessed with becoming human that he even was tempted by the simple idea of getting human flesh attached to his body. Whereas the Doctor, I don't think, for the Doctor, he lives in a virtual environment half of the time, while Data is always in the physical environment. And Data being in a physical environment in part means that he has fewer experiences than the Doctor. The Doctor can experience so much more in his virtual form. He even had his own family at some point. He started running programs where he was in command. And of course you could argue that, well, if his experiences are virtual, that doesn't make him more evolved. On the contrary, at least Data is actually out there. He's actually doing stuff. But you know, for the Doctor, at some point he evolved past his own programming when he was faced with the situation in real life. It was a situation where he inadvertently caused the death of, actually just by not treating a certain person, he caused their death, kind of. Well, he wasn't responsible for their death, but by not giving them treatment, that person obviously died, which led to kind of a nervous breakdown for the Doctor. But he got past that. He evolved past that. So yes, he does have virtual experiences, a lot more experiences than Data, but at the same time in the physical world he still was able to get by the limitations, to get past the limitations of his own program. And you know, bottom line, Data wants to become human. That's what he wants. And like the Bicentennial Man in Asimov's novel, I can imagine Data at some point will choose to experience death and will choose to put an end to his life, which in fact will make him completely human, because all humans are more or less defined by their mortality. Whereas the Doctor, I can very easily see the Doctor evolving past this idea of mortality. You know, the Doctor is still a program. He is still a mass of electrons, like in ones and zeros even. And I could see him kind of living on forever and just amassing more and more experiences. He's certainly more curious. And he has a certain lust for life that I don't think the Data does have, because the Doctor wants to experience so much more than just being human. And his lust for life, even a virtual life, is something very endearing about the character. So yeah, I think I already talked enough. So that's why, personally, I think that out of the two, the Doctor is a more evolved being, is a more evolved sentient individual, whereas Data is far closer to what we understand as a human being, because I really do see Data embracing his own mortality at some point, whereas the Doctor, I think, will evolve past that. Now, take from that what you will, and now I leave it to you, please, to let me know, out of Data and the Doctor, who is either closer to humanity or who is the more evolved artificial being. I think this is a very heavy subject for the first versus match with a twist. Next time, I promise, is going to be a simple, fun one, like who has the best boobs in the Marvel Universe or something, you know, that stuff I can handle, but this one is so hard for me to, like, hold back and not just go full philosophical on your asses. But yeah, please sound off, and I really do hope that you'll enjoy other versus matches with a twist that I will do in the future, and I hope that I will not disappoint Zip Block Gory. Thank you.